Magandang araw from your IEnhinyeros ng Bayan. Finally, with this first episode, we have officially launched our podcast. I'm Sandy,
And I'm Jacob.
and today we're going to give you a crash course on industrial engineering. And later on, with the help of our speaker, we'll dig deeper on how industrial engineers contribute to the community and serve the people.
All right, so first, what is industrial engineering? Industrial engineering is a branch of engineering management concerned with how to produce or do things better, and it encompasses a variety of disciplines related to the production of industrial and consumer goods. Increasing efficiency, lowering production costs, enhancing quality control, guaranteeing employee health and safety, safeguarding the environment, and adhering to government rules are all examples of this. These can be accomplished by using specialized knowledge and abilities to specify, forecast, and assess the results of processes and systems. This allows the development of new processes and systems depending on the needs of the client.
Okay, so why is industrial engineering important? So, industrial engineering is important to both producers and end users of a product. So, aside from saving time and money, raw resources, energy, and manpower by improving system processes and design, they also ensure safety and quality for use of consumers. So, what does an industrial engineer do? So, industrial engineers work across all stages of production and processing. So, this may involve the following. So, first of all, it involves designing a product, equipment, tools, and processes or procedures. It also involves adapting, upgrading, expanding, and reconfiguring process and procedures. It also involves repurpose existing equipment or facilities. And lastly, the use of CAD to design facilities and use computer modeling to simulate processes and supply chains. So other activities include production and operations planning, production and operations management, materials handling, and logistics and operations.
So, next, where do industrial engineers work? Is industrial engineering still in demand? Industrial engineers operate in different work environments, including offices and the settings they are tasked with improving. Industrial engineers can work in both managerial and technical roles due to their diverse skill set. Consulting and engineering, research and development, service industries, logistics, manufacturing, and trade are some of the employment settings where they can be found. Industrial engineering offers a diverse range of career options, and it is expected to grow by 10% between 2019 and 2029, which is notably faster than many other occupations. List of job opportunities for industrial engineer include the following: manufacturing engineering, methods engineering, human factors and safety engineering, and operations engineering, management, and optimization.
So, what does the future look like for industrial engineering? So, today, industrial engineers utilize computer simulations and design to analyze systems. In the future, such tools will be further used alongside data science and machine learning to optimize systems. Moreover, the internet is continuously becoming an important part of industrial engineering. So, the manufacturing industry in the Philippines is also expanding and appears to be promising, needing industrial engineers' ability and skills to adapt to new technology, advancement, and innovation.
Let's take a look at BSIE in the Philippines. In the Philippines, a Bachelor of Science in Industrial Engineering is typically a 5-year curriculum. However, it is now a 4-year program at the University of the Philippines. A graduate student can pursue a master's degree in industrial engineering after completing this degree program. To become a licensed industrial engineer in the Philippines, a graduate of industrial engineering needs to pass the industrial engineering certification exams. These certifications are not board exams, but rather voluntary processes that validate an individual's qualifications in the field of industrial engineering professional practice. A graduate with no certification, on the other hand, can nonetheless work as an industrial engineer. Obtaining these credentials would increase an industrial engineer's credibility and esteem in the industry. So some IE certification exams include the Certified Industrial Engineering Examination and the Professional Industrial Engineering Examination.
So, there are tons of ways IE can be applied to different things. So, one example is determining the optimal routing of ambulances through a city or material handling vehicles in a factory to minimize travel time. Another example could be reducing waiting time and improving service times at restaurants, banks, and other businesses. There are other examples like determining how many open counters a fast food establishment should have, creating forms that would ask clients for necessary information, and establishing a standard procedure for tasks such as changing flat tires. So, ayun pala, that's what IE is pala, no, Jacob?
Yes, that was very interesting insight about IE.
Yeah, a lot of applications for IE. So let's get into our interview with Sir Janni in a bit so we can learn more about how IE can be applied in the real world.
That sounds good. Thank you, Sandy.
So now that we've given you an idea as to what industrial engineering entails, let's delve in a little deeper with our guest speaker, Sir Janni Boydon. So hi, Sir Janni. Would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners today?
Hello. Thank you for inviting me dito sa inyong podcast. So I'm Janni Boydon. Right now, I'm a student. I'm a PhD student pala in National Taiwan University. Although I'm still a lecturer, senior lecturer in UPD. I've been a faculty member sa UP for 7 years before I went here dito sa Taiwan to do my PhD. So yeah, around 8 to 9 years na ang aking experience bilang isang industrial engineer.
Yeah, so actually, Sir Janni is one of my profs also for two of my IE majors and one of the best IE profs for sure. So let's get into the question. So, Sir Janni, what made you decide to pursue a career in industrial engineering?
Ayan, so medyo mahirap balikan actually kasi bata pa ako noon, 'di ba? Maybe bata pa kayo. High school to college. So medyo ano na yun, 10 years ago, 9 years ago. Pero ano kasi, I'm from Philippine Science High School. So doon pa lang medyo na-limit na yung aking mga possible choices sa college, science and engineering courses. Actually, ang first choice ko when I applied for UPD, I actually got in sa civil engineering program. Pero apparently, circumstances, dati kasi hindi pa pwede yung DOS scholarship. Hindi pa included yung CE sa DOS scholarship. So, napunta ako sa IE. And sabi rin naman sa akin na parang mas bagay daw sa akin yung IE kasi actually, nung high school ako, hindi ako ganun parang ka-deep into chemistry, physics, biology. Mas gusto ko yung mas general na applications ng science sa kung ano-anong bagay sa mundo. So and then over the years sa IE course sa UPIE, actually na-realize ko na parang mas bagay nga sa akin yung IE maybe kasi parang IE, maybe deeper I can talk later about ano yung parang ano ba talaga yung IE, 'di ba? Ano ba yung how is it used, how is it being applied, how is it solving problems in society. Pero basically mas parang we tap into different aspects of a problem or of a system or of society. Tapos, titignan natin about isang part and then connect them and solve them holistically. So parang, yeah, eventually, parang mas bagay sa personality ko, kumbaga, ang IE. And that's how I became an industrial engineer.
So medyo blessing in disguise po, sir, no? Yung pagpunta niyo sa IE. So how are you practicing po your profession as an IE?
Ayan, so actually, yun nga, as I said sa introduction, buong buhay ko, buong graduation, life after graduation ko, nasa faculty ako, I'm a member of the academe. So actually, I graduated 2013 BSIE. And then after graduation, I immediately took masters kasabay ng pagtuturo. So full-time faculty and part-time master student. So natapos ko yung MSIE 2017. So that whole time I was teaching and doing research, finishing my masters. And in 2017, I was actually parang nagninilay-nilay pa ako kung anong gagawin ko after graduating masters. Should I pursue deeper sa academe or should I go to corporate? Do I go to the industry? Should I do whatever? So, nagpunta ako dito sa Taiwan to do my PhD 2019. But before that, nag-reflect nga muna ako. Inalam ko muna kung saan ba dapat ako, academe or sa industry. So actually 2017 to 2019, I did some consultancy jobs sa sa PLDT and sa Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Maybe later I can talk more about that. But anyway, dito ngayon sa Taiwan, so I'm doing my PhD habang nagtuturo sa UP. PhD kasi it's basically training you as a member of the academe. So may teaching part and may research part. So maybe I'll share din ano ba yung ginagawa ko now as a researcher. So dito kasi sa Taiwan, very excellent, I think, ang Taiwan kasi sa semiconductor manufacturing. So parang karamihan ng research dito, especially engineering, parang towards manufacturing. So if you go here and you are an IE, ang mapupuntahan mo most likely is manufacturing. And then now, uso kasi 'di ba yung AI, machine learning. So very uso now dito yung smart manufacturing. So basically, I'm doing research now in the aspects or in the field of smart manufacturing. So it's actually using AI and machine learning to optimize, to automate those manufacturing systems. So many aspects of that whole system yung ginagawa namin sa lab, yung ini-improve namin. And meanwhile, I also teach nga sa UPD. So some of you are actually my students. Ang first love ko kasi actually is OR, Operations Research. So I really like OR kasi apparently mahilig ako sa mathematics. I'm not sure if all students will will agree with me or will like what I said. Pero yeah, I like math. I like modeling real life systems, and then I like using math as a language to solve these systems, to improve this system. So sa UPD, I still teach stat, OR subjects, simulation. So yung mga yun.
Sir, so medyo busy po your life as an IE, no? So given all your experiences po, can you give us an overview of your past experiences working as an IE, and what have you worked on so far as an IE? So kahit expound lang po on the experiences you've given us so far.
Yeah, ayun nga. So medyo nabanggit ko na yung lifetime. Hindi man lifetime. May pa lang naman. 9 years. Actually, wala pa 9 years since graduation. Pero ayun nga. So I've been teaching like for 8 or 9 years na. And then, siguro ang magandang ikwento dito somehow is yung consultancy projects I've done. Maybe let's start with the ones sa PLDT. I think yun yata yung una kong nakuhang consultancy project. Anyway, yung sa PLDT, syempre may non-disclosure agreements, pero I can talk naman about yung parang broader kung ano yung ginawa basically. Kasi 'di ba sila PLDT, meron yung mga service center, mga kunyari magbabayad ka ng bills or may problema sa line mo, ganyan. So basically parang all over the Philippines, gusto lang nila malaman kung gaano ba dapat karami yung bawat branch. Kasi sobrang daming branches, di ba, ng PLDT. Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Sa mga mall nga yan, di ba, usually. Tapos may shiftings pa yan. Ilan sa umaga, ilan sa hapon, ilan sa gabi. So basically yun, buong Pilipinas ha. So actually, I was just part of the team. Another members of the team was Ma'am Joanna Resurrection. Actually, Ma'am Bennett. And then actually, nanggaling pa siya sa isang project kasama sila Ma'am Iris Martinez, sila Sir Rex Halaw. So, the whole IE department, the whole IE faculty, medyo nag-involve din sa project na yun. Anyway, ayun. So, we applied yung usual IE tools na meron tayo, na inaaral natin sa IE program. Actually, meron siyang data science parts, pag-aral ng data kasi they've given us some data on yung pagdating ng mga customers and yung service times. And then basically scheduling, like ayun nga, given that data, ilan dapat, so we use scheduling, we use simulation, ilan dapat per branch, so per place, per area, ilan dapat sa ganitong shift, yung normal shift, ilan dapat yung graveyard shift, etc. Para ma-optimize basically na nasa-serve yung mga customers na gusto magbayad or magpagawa or magpaayos ng line or may problema sa line nila or something. Tapos isa pang project sa Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Ito exciting din to. Ang team noon was Sir Nestor Ranieses, Sir Lowell Lorenzo, Sir Eric Laguno, ayan mga IE faculty, me and Sir Carlos Honday. Basically ano rin siya, buong Pilipinas din, inaaral naman yung supply chain ng pera. Kasi 'di ba sa Pilipinas meron tayong pera, meron tayong physical money, meron tayong bills tsaka coins. And ayun nga, actually yun yung kinaganda ng IE kasi parang nasanay na tayo na yung mga pera na yan, yung bills and yung coins na yan, parang ginagamit lang natin sa pang-araw-araw na buhay. Pero hindi natin alam kung gaano ka-intricate yung pag-design ng supply chain yan, yung starting from, so inaral namin yung forecasting. They actually do forecast like ilan dapat yung gawin na bills, ilan dapat yung gawin na coins. So we have, I mean, they do that, but we have to like provide ways on how to improve those processes. And then pagka-forecast, magpaproduce. So may factory actually sila sa East Avenue. Yung coins, so ginagawa yun, di ba? Mini-mint. So pinipress siya. And then yung bills, piniprint siya. May process siya actually. Tapos it actually takes some time. So kailangan mo talaga siyang planuhin at aralin. Kasi buong mundo yan. Ay, buong mundo. Actually, buong mundo. Buong Pilipinas yung mainly gumagamit yan. Tapos alam niya ba na yung pera, kunyari 20 pesos. May 20 pesos na ba? Wala na ba? Meron pa ba? Wala sa Pilipinas now eh. Anyway, let's say 100 pesos. Pag natupi yan, or actually pag medyo na-damage yan, tapos napunta yan sa bangko, hindi na siya dapat gamitin. Hindi na siya ibabalik ng bangko for consumption ng mga tao. Ibabalik yan ng bangko nung let's say, kung anumang private bank, sa central bank. Kasi ayaw nila na lukot-lukot yung mga pera, di ba? Gusto nila na maganda tignan yung pera. So, imagine na lang kung gaano karaming pera, bills, and coins yung kailangan gawin per day, yung kailangan i-forecast per day, kailangan gawin per day, and kailangan i-distribute per day. Every day nag-distribute ng pera. So, mula sa yung factory sa East Avenue, may truck yun. Truck. Armored truck pa nga dapat kasi, di ba, pera, kailangan may para security. Tapos, dadalhin sa mga different BSP offices sa Northern Luzon, tapos iba ipi-plane pa to Visayas, to Mindanao. Tapos mayroon pa mga ibabalik kasi yung mga lukot-lukot na nga para actually yung mga sinisira eh. So actually sobrang gulo, sobrang complex. Hindi ko nga alam paano nagagawa ng BSP yun eh. Pero ayun, as an IE, ang main na parang job namin then was to study, to document the whole system. So doon papasok yung mga IE skills na systems thinking, systems documentation, flow charting, SciPoc, yung mga yun. And of course more pa. Tapos how to connect them all, how to make the supply chain seamless and smooth para gumagana siya ng maayos. Tapos hindi sila nag-aaway-away. Tsaka hindi nagkukulang yung mga pera na umiikot sa Pilipinas basically. So, ayun, I mean, I can talk deeper pa, no? Pero since this is an introductory, parang medyo introduction lang to what an IE does, I think that's a good way to excite our listeners on what an IE does.
Yeah, seriously, that was so exciting to hear, no? It's great to hear how all your IE knowledge is applied in real world situations. So with that, what would you say are the most important skills for an industrial engineer to have?
Ayan, so actually, one of my favorite classes na tinuturo ko dati sa IE nung full-time faculty pa ako was IE3, Introduction to Industrial Engineering. Kasi favorite ko i-share sa ibang engineers or sa ibang non-engineers actually yung parang specific principles na meron ang IE, yung specific traits and characteristics na tinitrain tayo as an IE. So maybe I'll share yung 4 na favorite ko. And ito 4 din actually yung para pinaka-train ko sa sarili ko eh. Parang ginagawa kong I should be better every day in this 4 aspects. So the first aspect is systems thinking. Ayan, very important yan na parang when you see a problem, ayun nga, when you want to tackle the supply chain problem ng mga pera sa Pilipinas, hindi ka dapat basta punta ka kagad sa production, solve yung production. Everything is connected, kumbaga. Ayun. So, pag may ginawa ka sa isang aspect ng supply chain, maapektuhan niya yung buong process, yung buong system. So, kailangan mo siyang i-tackle as a whole. So, kailangan mong i-tackle yung problem as a whole. So, as they say, IEs are big picture thinkers. Second aspect na favorite ko rin is process thinking. So I think IEs should be process thinkers. Ito favorite ko to kasi meron din ako leaning sa computer science. I mean parang everything's logical actually. Actually for me, everything is like input, process, and output. Lahat ng bagay sa mundo, miski hospital, kunyari hospital, may input, may sakit. Process, papagalingin. Output, magaling, hopefully. Or kung hindi man, kung parang defect ng process, ayun, alam na yun. Tapos, school. Actually, ang school, process din yan. Input, yung mga hindi pa graduate, process, education process, output, graduates. Tapos, sometimes they call it defects, but I wouldn't really call it defect na parang may hindi graduate. Kasi, ang isang kinaganda nito, parang when you always have that thought na everything is input, process, output. So when you think of it, yung mga student, kung may nag-fail na student, sino may fault? Yung input ba? Or yung process ba, di ba? Yung input ba? For example, sa manufacturing, sa factory, gumagawa tayo ng cellphone, ganyan. Yung raw material ba? Or yung machine na nagpa-process nung material para gawing cellphone, di ba? So ayun lang, parang we can think really step by step. Kung may problema, we can think step by step. So saan ba yung problem? So even sa manufacturing, aling machine ba yung may problema? Yung raw material ba? Or yung factory ba? Or yung machine ba? Or yung timing ba? Or whatever. Same sa education system. Yung student ba? Or yung teacher ba? Or yung admin ba? Or yung exam ba? Or whatever. And then third aspect na favorite ko is continuous improvement. Ayan, so medyo obvious naman sa sinasabi ko so far na parang I is always think of how to improve things. So parang up. I mean, hindi man up, pero parang always, or pag may pain, pag may problema, pag may something na hindi efficient or hindi gumagana, hindi effective, pupunta agad ang IEs. Actually, IEs are known worldwide to be like problem solvers. So really can tackle any kind of problems in the traits that we have, in the skills that we have. And then fourth, siguro ito yung least favorite ko dito sa apat na aspects na to kasi sometimes hindi siya ganun ka-clear, kadali, metrics-based or parang basically, we have metrics, we use numbers kasi we are engineers eh. So we use numbers to say that something has been improved. So let's say education system, yun nga yung medyo problema minsan eh. Parang how do you measure paano nag-i-improve ang education system, di ba? Kasi sometimes it can be quantitative, sometimes it can only be qualitative. Pero let's say sa manufacturing, mas madali doon eh. Mas madaling i-measure na nag-improve yung process natin if mas madaming finished materials kaysa sa mga rejects, di ba? So yeah, that's it. I think yun yung mga best skills or traits that we should have as IEs.
So that was really interesting to hear, no, sir. What I really liked about what you said was explaining how step-by-step processes also really help solve the bigger issue. So as you mentioned also, there are a lot of things you're doing right now as an IE. But can you give us more of an idea on what types of occupations are suited for an industrial engineer?
Yeah, actually, mahirap sagutin ng question na to kasi I mean, yun nga, as IEs, parang medyo broad yung pwedeng puntahan natin. Pero siguro I can answer this in a systems thinking way din. Kasi when you think about it, sa isang lipunan, or actually sa buong mundo, ang education system, yun nga, isa lang siyang process, di ba? Tapos after graduation, sa ngayon sa state ng mundo ngayon, may apat lang na pwede puntahan ang mga tao. First is parang the private sector, yung the corporate industry sector. So karamihan kasi ng kunyari manufacturing, I mean, ang tawag dito yung mga FMCG nandyan sa, or pati fintech, mga banking, ganyan, nandyan sa sector na yan. Another sector is public sector. It's the government, di ba? I mean, the government is actually also a big institution na gumagawa ng mga projects, gumagawa ng mga bagay na makakatulong sa community. Supposedly, I mean, sa buong Pilipinas. Third is the academe, di ba? So, after graduation, babalik siya dun sa education system para mag-process pa, para mag-equip pa, para mag-educate pa ng ibang students. And then, fourth, it's hard kasi to say it as a different aspect. Pero let's say, starting up your own business, startup, di ba? Startup, parang, I can consider it a new sector na rin na parang nagbo-boom. Kasi private sector din siya, pero hindi siya corporate. Mas maliit siya, mas maliliit siya. So, ayun, I mean, IE graduates can actually go into those four, diba? So private sector, public sector, academe, and can start their own startup or their own business. And siguro ang magiging edge lang ng mga IEs is in any of those aspects, they can apply or we can apply our, yung sinabi ko nga kanina, systems thinking skills, general problem solving skills. Ayun. So it's hard to be specific pero that's all I can say. Kasi I really think na IEs can go anywhere.
So for sure, sir, a lot of people see IE nga as one of the more flexible courses. So super gets na there are a lot of types of occupations an IE can go through. So with that, in what ways do you think an IE can contribute to the community?
Ayan, so isa pa mahirap na question kasi medyo same dun sa sa previous question na parang if me helping the community, like making an impact to a certain community, basically the best way naman is to join a project, to join maybe I think a profitable or a non-profit endeavor. Maybe miski tree planting. I mean, it's not usually seen as profit oriented, diba? Or kunyari let's say yung mga ito mga example pala. Ang tawag dito? Relief operations, 'di ba? Actually, napakalaking marami tayong magagawa as IEs sa relief operations. Actually, ang daming research nga sa literature, ang daming papers na parang making the relief operation efficient. So, may part yan na yung tawag dito, yung paggawa ng mga tawag doon, relief packs. Kasi it's an assembly line di ba? So the IEs can actually also help them. Actually, I remember sa dati, hindi ako naging part, pero when they, like sa UP, when they form groups na yun nga, gumagawa ng mga relief operations, tapos nagpre-prepare ng mga relief packs from the donations, sometimes they actually get IEs to fix those assembly lines para maayos yung kasi isa-sort pa yan 'di ba? Yung pagkain, toiletries, sabon, shampoo, water, etc. Just sort and then ipapack. So kaysa individual kuha. Better actually kung assembly line yan. So ayun, minsan they also get aside from those manpower to pack those things. Meron parang IE na nagma-manage ng line ng relief or ng production line, let's say production line. Tapos aside from that, I think siguro two words for improvement, I mean for contribution to the community. Improve current social projects, current social impact projects. And second siguro innovate kasi with innovation comes new things na hindi pa natin na-discover before or parang parang win-win talaga siya na may benefits sa parang kunwari, ang dami na nangyayari ngayon na parang normal lang, parang traditional na lang. Pero when you innovate, tapos more value yung makuha natin, mas mag-flow yung value na yun sa mga mas nangangailangan. So, ayun, maybe improve and innovate the current things na nangyayari sa mundo.
So IEs can really make a big contribution to the community. So for that, for our aspiring IEs, do you have any advice for those interested in pursuing a career as an IE and for those who are currently IE students?
Ayan, so as we've said before nga, so IE is actually somehow less depth. I mean, hindi man less depth, diba? Pero parang more all around. So, unang advice or unang suggestion or unang tip is if you're a person na mas gusto yung nagdidwell deeper sa isang bagay, maybe IE is really not for you. I'm sorry, it's hard to say that. Pero I have to say really na you have to make sure na bagay sa personality mo or parang gusto mo talaga maging IE. I mean, sa kahit ano naman sa computer science, sa chemical engineering, sa economics, sa biology, sa history, sa literature, whatever. I mean, you have to know na bagay sa iyo yung i-equip sa iyo na skills, diba? Because I can say na sa IE, it's more of like the versatility, the flexibility, the all-aroundness, ayun. So, if you're that kind of person, I can say that I'm that kind of person kasi hindi rin naman talaga ako nag-focus sa isang bagay lang. So, like, if you want to deal with many things at the same time, maybe IE is for you. So, that's my first advice. Second advice, actually, for some reason, IE is are good at communication. Magaling magsalita verbally. Pero dahil yun, sa nate-train kasi yung skill na yun. Kasi nga, ang IEs, isa sa mga jobs niya is yung systems thinking. So, andun din sa job na yun, yung pag-communicate sa iba't ibang departments or sa iba't ibang teams. So, doon din na nai-improve yung communication skills ng mga IEs. So, yeah, I think that's my second advice. Magiging part yun ng role mo as an IE kasi nga you have to deal with different aspects. So you have to know how to communicate with this kind of personality kasi iba-ibang team, minsan iba-ibang personality, di ba? So this kind of personality, this kind of trait, this kind of skill, this kind of etc. etc. Ayan, so that's my second advice. And third advice, maybe really just do it. I mean, take real life experiences, take real life projects kasi IEs then are engineers. So we're always on the go. Parang we learn more as we do things. So just do things, internship, join projects, ayun, and that's how you will grow. That's how we can improve ourselves.
Thank you so much for that advice, sir. I will surely remember that, especially as an IE student also. So that was actually your last question. But before we end, we want to ask also if you have any projects or events that you would like to promote. So we'll give this time for you to promote any projects you might have.
Well, wala naman akong project aside from this one. So, pwede ba ito i-plug? And actually,
Go lang, sir.
yeah. And actually, very connected to sa IE work ko. So, I have a podcast. And actually, I started this podcast. So, its name is Startup Podcast. I actually started it as a learning material for IE 33, Systems and Procedures. So, yeah, so my students know. What I did then was sa IE33 kasi it's a course where we learn systems and procedures, we learn vision and mission, we learn flow charting, we learn organization, we learn how to design interfaces. So parang I had them conceptualize a startup. I mean, kaysa kasi yung parang typical boring approach na sorry sa word boring. Pero parang typical approach na parang do this, flowchart this, do a flowchart of this, do an interface of this. What's wrong with this form? So parang I had them conceptualize their own startup na app, magiging mobile app siya sa phone. And then they build the startup on the go. So like the first lesson, vision and mission, make a vision and mission for your startup. What's the process? Do a flow chart. What's the input process output? So make a SIPOC, blah 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 blah. And then parang na-realize ko lang later on na parang better siya ituro if merong actual inputs, actual knowledge from real life startup founders. So I started this podcast actually because of my IE33 class. And now, this podcast actually is on episode 35. So, naka-interview na ako ng 35 na startup founders and more actually startup enablers, startup investors. And so inaalam ko lang din. So, it's a way for me and for my students to learn more about startups. Kasi ayun nga, sabi ko rin kanina, yung fourth place na pwede puntahan ng isang IE is to innovate and to make their own startup na makakagawa ng value for the community. Bonus if they get profit out of it. Pero I think ang priority should be to provide service or to create a new product na talagang makakatulong and bring more value to other people. So yeah, so the podcast, if you're interested, it's on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. So you can just search Startup Podcast. Na space start space up space podcast and maybe Philippines or maybe Janni Boydon. So I think lalabas naman. Ayun, so far madami naman nakikinig. Nagulat nga ako actually kasi hindi lang UPI students na nakikinig. May mga people from Mindanao, from Bicol, from Visayas na nag-message pa sa akin na nag-message sila and they liked it. So nag-grow yung podcast and I really think it's something na can be learned, it's something where other people can learn then. So yeah, I'm just sharing it basically.
So as one of Sir Janni's IE33 students, I highly recommend the Startup Podcast also. Super interesting and very fun to hear also. So thank you so much, Sir Janni, for sharing with us your experiences and giving us advice on how IEs can go about and contribute to the community. So now that we have a comprehensive understanding of what industrial engineering is, we hope that this talk from your IEnhinyeros ng Bayan sparked your curiosity in the field. We, the hosts, as well as you, learned a lot, and it was fantastic to hear from industrial engineers who have specialized in this field for a long time. So if you guys have any questions, please contact us via the social media channels listed below. Stay tuned for next month's episode, which will focus on another interesting topic. Stay up to date by following us. Thank you and goodbye.